Washing machine man's arriving.
That's
Literally.
Are you doing some laundering?
Certainly isn't money, I'll tell you. Angela Uranova from Bucks County, Philadelphia. Eleanor Williams from Barrow-in-Furness, Cumbria, the UK. And Crystal Magnum, currently of North Carolina, all have something in common. They all make up part of the group of women who knowingly falsely accused men of rape. The FBI says that of all the accusations received, 8% are found out to be not true. And in Uranova, she claims she was sexually assaulted by a bloke in a car park, but video showed the attack never happened. Eleanor Williams claims she was groomed by an Asian gang and raped multiple times, even created demonstrations in the streets because of the false allegations. It just wasn't true. And Crystal Magnum, name to be conjured with, sounds like she's a stripper. Well, she was. She accused 3 lacrosse players of Duke University of raping her back in 2006. And after their not guilty verdicts, only recently admitted openly that she lied. Of course, asking for forgiveness. Such an accusation could destroy a man's life. We can see the stress it causes by looking at Brett Kavanaugh, that judge.
Yeah.
He was questioned during his nomination to the Supreme Court in the US. And somebody said that he was, when he was a student, he'd raped a woman and she can't remember, when it was, what day it was, or a current case between E. Jean Carroll and Donald Trump. He's appealing the civil case, by the way. The thing is, in Carol's case in the 90s, she was around 60 years of age, and she claimed that Trump got her in a department store and raped her in the changing rooms. Both cases very hard, if not impossible, to prove without the aid of a friendly judge. But of course, I digress.
Yes.
So why do some women do this? According to Matthew D. Sharp, a criminal defense lawyer from Houston, he said that there are 2 types of false accusations. There's false memory,
yeah,
and intentionally false accusations.
Mm.
The false memory are generally credited to people who think they might have been abused as a child and might have misconstrued a situation from their infancy.
Mm.
So, for an example, an adult changing the child's clothes, having to change their clothes,
yeah,
and the child is protesting, don't want to, and the father's taking the clothes off, having to take off the clothes,
yeah,
even give them a tap on the bottom, so they can get the clothes off to change them.
Mm.
That could be misconstrued as a sexual act, but it wasn't. It was just dad changing the clothes.
Mm.
The intentionally false accusations are a little more complex,
Yeah.
as it only involves adults.
Mm.
Mr. Sharp puts it down, the lawyer, Mr.
Mm.
Sharp, he puts it down to 10 different reasons why a woman might falsely claim she has been raped by a man.
Yeah.
So, what are these 10 reasons why a woman would do this? Revenge. So the bloke had dumped her.
Yeah.
And she wants to create a revenge, and so say, well, he raped me. Material gain, like Stormy Daniels, money. She's in it for the money.
A strange one, that one. Yeah.
create an alibi,
mm,
express regret. So this woman had a one night stand, and
mm,
to herself, to express her regret, she has to say that he forced her to do it.
yeah,
You know, generate sympathy,
mm,
making yourself look like a victim.
yeah,
Draw attention to yourself, which is these parties of what's he called, that rapper
oh,
who's in the
yeah,
news
Sean,
recently.
Sean, yeah, yeah, Diddy, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
They
Hughes, yeah,
there are women now coming out of the woodwork
yeah,
that are saying they were abused at his parties.
he did it, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Why the hell didn't they say anything back at the time when it was happening?
again, yeah, I've not read
Probably
all,
because of money. Now that they've been discarded like a used Kleenex,
mm,
they're trying to get the name for themselves in the press again. You know, express anger.
mm,
You know, if your boyfriend or husband has done something to aggrieve you, you accuse them of rape.
yeah,
Right? To deny a consensual encounter. This is, you don't have to be drunk. You don't have, you agree to do something, you do it, and then all of a sudden, if your husband finds out you've been unfaithful, you say, well, he raped me,
yeah,
if that makes sense to you.
no, no, no,
Mental instability, which I think we're looking at E. Jean Carroll a little bit, if I was to be honest,
yeah, well,
because her story was taken out of Law and Order Special Victims Unit uh, from the 90s.
yeah,
And,
oh, a bit long ago, oh, yeah,
there are some women that have these fantasies, and
yeah,
even her said to what's his name on CNN,
mm,
that she thought that rape was sexy, and so she's a writer. She's got a fertile imagination. But who am I? I'm just saying what I've read.
yeah, okay,
And also to gain advantage in a custody or divorce case. So if you can prove that your husband or spouse was
yeah,
treating you unfairly and raping you when you didn't want to go to bed with them, uh, that makes it easier for you to get a divorce. Unreasonable behaviour, I think they call it.
oh, yeah, I'm really, yeah,
Mm. And what are the repercussions of a woman lying about her being raped? Well, it's not very often, but sometimes the proper justice system will take up the case. So in the cases of Yoranova and Williams, two of the women I mentioned at the beginning, they got custodial sentences. Crystal Magnum, our dancing girl,
yeah,
dancing on a pole,
entertainer, performer, yeah, okay,
exotic dancer. She's already serving time for second-degree murder.
right,
So
okay,
obviously she sounds like a keeper.
okay, fair enough.
There you are. Little
Right,
subject for you to pull over.
right, okay, cool, a lot to unpack here. I'm not sure I have enough time. Well, um, as as a father of a young lady myself, um, I give her advice about men. She told me one day, and I'm just going to turn it a little bit on its head here because I like to look at both sides. She told me one day that she doesn't trust men because men tell lies. And I said, well, you're not. I'm wrong there. You're not wrong there yourself. Okay, undermining every case. But the other advice I've always given her is don't put yourself in a situation, in a compromising situation. I know easier said than done, but yeah, always think about your actions. And she's always said that to me, that yeah, the advice I've given her. Yeah. And it was borne out. And I've said if you feel unsafe in a situation, make a noise. If it's on the street, you feel unsafe, make a noise and get people to look in your direction. Okay. Um, and she did that the other day. Well, she told me that she has utilize that advice to me in a situation. I've seen it in a situation where she's been approached by a young man who's not worse for the wear, come up and grabbed her, and I walked over, and he disappeared. Yeah. Um. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he disappeared. He got away sharpish. I mean, I don't think he meant any real harm, but yeah, yeah, the young lad who saw an attractive girl, bang. Yeah. Shouldn't have done what he did, but okay, I hope he learned from the experience. Um, it's it's a it's always going to be difficult. Of course, we have to protect females in our society against wrongdoings from not necessarily always men, women as well. Um, it's a overall men will always be able to overpower women. Okay, let's forget this nonsense about everything else. If true equality existed in physique and other things, we wouldn't be having this discussion now. Yeah, if a woman could
It's,
fight, yeah,
let's just get ourselves back on track here.
yeah,
I'm not saying that the society there are an awful lot of vulnerable women out there.
yeah,
There are.
mm,
Using the FBI statistics,
yeah,
uh, 92% of rape victims were telling the truth.
yeah,
I'm trying to concentrate on the 8%
yeah,
that can do an awful lot of damage
yeah. This is
and vindictively,
I don't
vindictive will
indict.
accuse somebody of rape.
Yeah,
If they live in a society
yeah,
where there's always a possibility, yeah,
yeah,
I accept that.
mm,
But for people to deliberately lie, to
yeah,
say they were raped by a bloke when they weren't,
yeah.
that's the point of this here.
Yeah, I know what you're doing, and I was just, as I said, turning a little bit on the other way for a few minutes. Yeah. Now, what do we do when this goes to case and all that? Yeah, it's like you say, there's been cases of women have accused guys, and it's gone to court, and it turns out the guy was not even anywhere near, which should have been picked up sooner. I've read these cases. Um, or, you know, and what do you say if a couple in a relationship, an established relationship, be it long-term romantic one or marriage, what can you say? We don't know what happens inside people's relationships. Um, is it up? Yeah, I mean, it. We all know it's difficult being a man sometimes. What level of attention do sometimes women want? Um, it is a difficult situation to be in. If every time you have a sexual relationship, do we now have to have an app on the phone consenting to sexual relationship? Yeah, that's an act. That's an act that maybe the woman, yeah, somehow to protect the woman like this, you have to do it on her phone. Yeah, she has to fit it on her phone. Yeah, um, one way or another. I mean, this is where it's going. Yeah, I mean, this was joked about 40 years, 30 years ago when I was working in the UK. A guy said to me, yeah, he raised the same point as you that he worked with someone, going back into the 50s, I think this was. The guy had an industrial accident, was unable to actually perform like that, and got accused of molesting or doing so of sexual misconduct with a woman, and he was incapable. And I was told the story again, it's third hand. But yeah, so it's not new. The issue isn't new. Um, if we're talking about in life and society, I'm all for women only carriages on public transport. Yeah. I think it's a solution to a problem. I always have done. If a man is in a woman only sector like this, and like safe space, yeah, we're going back to there. Segregated toilets are safe spaces, in my
Oh,
opinion.
well, of course you should have segregated toilets.
Yeah.
Of course you should.
But there's some in society that are pushing against that. And yeah, I think there should be, yeah, places where you eliminate everything else. And they used to be around, I believe, in the 1950s, the segregated, yeah, women only carriages. Um, okay, it doesn't solve the problem. Now, if you're at a party, if a girl's at a party, which it appears that happens on campuses in the US and the UK, I've never went to university. I don't know really much about the university experience. Where it does seem to be a lot of issues come out of it. Okay, I grew up in the 80s where we had the frat boys and the fraternities, the movies that were funny. Okay, were they sexist? Of course they were, but normally the blokes were made to look very stupid. And yeah, there was no real violence in it, hawkers, etc. Yeah. Although there's
I'm
something.
sure that in the university situation, there are plenty of young girls who the day after felt remorse
Oh yeah, I
for
mean,
what they did.
yeah, well, there.
And but like I said, according to the FBI, it's only 8%
Mm.
that outright lie,
I mean,
and it's
how?
this 8% I want to concentrate on.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to do that, and it's like you say, but it's getting into circumstances. Um, if the women are regretting what they've done, they're in a situation to begin with to regret. Um, Ultimately, now we live in a surveillance society, be it official with cameras, if some guys have been saved to prove they were somewhere else or it wasn't quite as the woman remembered it. Um, there, as I sort of said, how do you prove consent within that situation? Um, is alcohol and drugs a big problem with it? Of course it is.
So
Yeah.
one of the solutions is to put a time limit as to when you can, as to how long you can wait
Well, there is
before you.
statute of limitations in the US.
Yeah, but it needs to be really, really short.
Mm.
I mean, if you've been raped, the first thing you should want to do is go and tell the police about it,
Well,
and
absolutely. Yeah.
there should be certain residues. But it's no good. It's no good going like a year later or 2 years later, or in some cases 30 years later,
Well, yeah.
and say I was raped 30 years ago.
Mm. Well, yeah. How?
Because like I said, in the case of E. Jean Carroll, who said 30 years ago, she wasn't a spring chicken then. She said, and if it wasn't for the fact that the judge in the case was really, really an ally to her cause,
Yeah.
that case would have been thrown out an awful long
Well,
time.
yeah. Now we're looking at a different problem, politicized legal system, which
Oh, well,
unfortunately,
it's still a lady that is most probably not being economical with the truth.
well, I know this, but yeah, how do you fight against it? I mean, yeah, you got a whole
Well,
system
which is what I
failure
said.
there.
That one of the solutions must be that you can only report, only can complain about a rape after it's been done, but you can't do it like 30 years later. It
Well,
needs
yeah,
to be done in the same day, the same week, perhaps.
yeah,
But other than that, as it's so difficult to prove,
yeah. Well,
and
yeah.
doesn't do anything. The only thing it does is drags the man's reputation down.
Well, yeah, and yeah, okay, it's weaponized, and that's the point I'm saying. I mean, I'm talking about yeah, how do you? I mean, proving impropriety is difficult enough anyway. I'm trying to walk a line here. Yeah, the whip. I mean, okay, if an 18-year-old girl is in a situation, she's at a party or something. There's always witnesses at these parties who say that, and it's yeah, it's like the film again. Yeah, I'm making references to films. Fortunately, I've never been in a situation. I have known that women have told me that they have been sexually used or assaulted. I've been in the company. Again, I don't know. I can't just believe them. I can't prove them otherwise. Um, it's a very, very difficult thing to prove the day after. The girl goes to the police even 2 hours later. Yeah. Um, there is a certain burden. There has to be, unfortunately, yeah. They say there is going to always have to be a burden on that poor girl who may have been generally raped or not, but she has to prove the case. The guy has every right to defend. Um, and this is what I'm saying. I've been educating my daughter. Don't put yourself in a situation, or try avoid going into a situation in the first place. And that's always a question I'm going to ask. What were you doing? And they say, well, that's unfair to ask that. Why were you that? Oh, it's causing me stress, this situation. Well, you've made an accusation. You were in a position, you're at a male party, you were draped across this guy in inebriated state or a high state. What was he meant to be thinking? And I'm
Yeah,
not just, yeah,
once again, Mark, it, we- we're not talking about a
yeah,
girl. We're not talking about a girl getting
yeah,
herself into a sticky situation,
mm,
or
yeah.
even. But we're talking about a girl who lied.
Well, yeah, but
Simply
this is
lied.
it. But this is
Simply
it. It's
lied.
regret. It leads to regret, and um, it does lead to regret, and that's the point I'm making. She's been in that state. She's woken up the next morning next to a complete stranger, or she's been seen by her friends leaving a situation, a room the next day, and everything, or um, she feels that he's not the right person. Okay, it's led to something else. And again, that's the point I'm making. There's no smoke without fire. And I'm making the same point as you are, that when you're looking at the evidence, as witnesses saw how her behavior in a situation leading up to it, and then she turns around and claims it. Okay.
You're assuming that there was a relationship,
I
but
yeah, I'm saying
in
that
the case
she still made an allegation.
in the case of one of these ladies, Williams, I think her name is. Oh
Yeah.
no, the first one,
Mm,
Uranova.
yeah.
She said that she was sexually abused in a car park, and it didn't even happen.
That's the point I'm making. There's evidence. There's
You were
proof.
you were you were you were you cited a case where the bloke wasn't even there.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I
it
can't,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter all these things about having certain relationships
yeah.
and what were you doing and all this to get this. You're assuming that there was a relationship, but
No, I'm not.
in this case,
I'm making the
in
point
these
that
case, in
yeah,
these cases, the women didn't have a relationship, and they still claimed that they were raped.
but that's it. But that's what I said. The burden now is on them to prove it happened. If there are no witnesses around, and like you say, it's been proven otherwise, how does it get as far as it does? That there's a systematic failure somewhere in all this. Yeah. And
Like I said,
the
I think I
problem
think
is,
all women that cry rape, firstly they have to cry rape
yeah.
straight away after it's been done, and if they're found lying, they should be sent to prison.
Well, again, this is another thing that I would thought that the laws were there to prevent this happening.
Not every
Uh,
time.
well, that's the problem. Because of the 8%, do we not protect the other percentage? Um, it's a very it's a difficult path to walk. Um, the us yeah, the police do have to do an investigation. Now they're getting better and better trained at it, even from 10 years ago. All the time they're learning. They're learning about the psychology of the women as well. They can tell. They'll sit down and interview the woman in a different way that probably they did 10 years ago. Um, if a woman is in a traumatic state, who knows what she's saying? Um, again, yeah, yeah, okay. Am I getting emotional about it? Yes, of course I am, because I've got a young lady, yeah, my blood, yeah. If she made an allegation against a man about her, how would I react? Would I be? And again, yeah, I'm spreading this out a bit more because it's very difficult to remain impartial or one way or another. I know exactly what you're saying. How do we prevent this 8% getting through? Well, again, that has to be within the legal system. That has to be the proof. They complain if they're getting questioned. They're line of questioning sometimes. Well, if you've made a serious allegation against someone that is going to be life changing, yeah. Thankfully, I've not experienced that. I may have known somebody that it has been. Um, how do you counteract it? Um,
I
you
just think I just think counteracting it is by making the laws a lot brander.
well,
So if you're found guilty of lying about, especially about rape, then you should be sent to prison, and
well,
that would because a lot of women they scream rape,
Yeah.
and they do it mainly for try and destroy the bloke
I mean,
for one reason or another.
I mean,
Nobody's taken away the fact that women are raped.
no,
Yes, they are. 92% of women
yeah.
who claimed were raped were raped.
I mean, for me, 8% is a high rate of false claims as well. I mean, it's
Yeah,
scary
almost one in
because,
ten. Almost one in ten.
yeah, I mean, how many rapes are claimed in the US, and then you take the 8%, that's an awful lot of lives as well that are affected. And yeah, as you say, it's just not the guy. The guy's married. If he's got other things, he might be in another relationship somewhere, or he might be in a relationship anyway. And if he's innocent, wow, he's lost his life like that. It affects a lot of people. Um, if you've had an allegation against you for anything, I mean, yeah, you go,
I was reading yesterday, only yesterday, of a young chap, 22 years old, a university student. This happened a while back,
yeah,
and the inquest was released. I think it was yesterday,
yeah,
where he committed suicide
mm,
because a girl at the university said that he raped her, and he said, you know, she's done this with some. She's one of these girls apparently,
yeah,
if you believe him,
yeah.
that will sleep with the bloke and then feel guilty about it the next day and say, you know,
Well, yeah,
because
but again,
she's got her reputation to think of.
yeah, and yeah, if she, I mean, okay, there is the issue. If a guy sleeps with lots of women, he's considered a stallion, a stud, whatever. If a girl does it, she's considered um a a slut or
Yep,
or other
good,
things.
good,
Yeah, yeah,
good words.
there is this, and I mean, is that an immoral society that's caused that? Is that yeah, is that maybe there is a point that it's wrong the way that men and women are perceived, especially in the modern world. That maybe we have to look at our education, how we look at it. Um, that is an issue. Um, and
You got that lady on the OnlyFans,
yeah,
where she performed with 100 blokes,
oh yes,
one directly after the other, and of course afterwards, full of remorse,
mm,
and she's trying to get the sympathy vote, you
oh
know,
yeah.
saying
I
girls don't. Well, she's
again, yeah,
determined to do 1,000.
I didn't read it instead. I saw something and it was like I lost interest to be quite honest. I thought, well, okay, you made a bit of money, girl. You got your 15 minutes of fame. Apparently, her mother. Well, I always find this a bit more interesting looking at what's behind all this. Her mother is apparently a financial manager. Yeah. So you're beginning to think there's a bit more to this. Yeah. Um, and then, yeah. And what's going to come out about all these guys who actually participated in it? Yeah. Some of
Oh,
them could
well,
be
it
cool.
was all consensual. I mean,
Oh,
she
yeah,
wasn't
no, no.
raped,
But I
so it
mean,
was all consensual, so it doesn't really matter.
yeah, but these guys may have gone there and been caught with their pants down eventually at some point by
Of course they
others.
were.
Yeah,
It was all filmed.
yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, again, it's Sodom and Gomorrah, Babylon. You know, we're heading in
Well,
a society that way now.